Well, good Tuesday morning, friends. Mark Holmes here, and as always, I want to say thank you all for watching, commenting, subscribing, and being part of the Joe Boo Sports Report. Without you guys, as well as you ladies, you know that this literally does not work. Hope everybody's going to have a great Taco Tuesday, and hope all your taco dreams come true. Big day for me. We've got an inspection over at the Red Brick House, trying to get the water line in there so we can actually start getting the next utility in the house and things. In the meantime, we have the Dallas Cowboys. Are the Dallas Cowboys loading up for another move? See, yesterday, after just bringing in Brandon Cooks and only being here one day, they restructured his deal, basically making him a $6 million cap hit from a $12 million cap hit. Now, it's always nice when you can build. Now, one of the things I always tell you about investing is never use your own money, or if you're Scarface, never get high on your own supply. But they always tell you use other people's money in your investments. Well, that's exactly what the Cowboys did. They got the Texans to basically pay $6 million of his salary this year, thus getting us a player that can help stretch the field. And our cap hit is only $6 million. That's actually really good business. And so they restructure that, giving us another $6 million worth of cap space. As we sit here this morning, right now, according to Over the Cap, the Dallas Cowboys sit $16,208,000 over the cap. That's the cap space we have currently. And come June 1st, we'll get another $11 million from Zeke Elliott's money. So here's the question now. Now, there's also Stephon Gilmore's contract. He's a $9.9 million hit, too. They could do an extension with him to get some cap relief as well. You don't know if they're going to. But the Cowboys clearly have enough money to do all the stuff that they want to do, at least at the moment. The question is, are the Cowboys actually looking to have another major move here? And that could be a possibility that the Cowboys finally are saying, you know what? We got to push the chips in. We've got to go ahead and get out of our comfort zone and actually try to build a juggernaut. We saw it work for the Eagles until they got that big L in the Super Bowl. We saw it work for the Rams, and now, of course, they're rebuilding. And we even saw it with Tampa Bay. And so the new business model of winning, where it's go out and get those pieces to top off a good team, is in full effect with the Cowboys. Now, at least the Cowboys thus far have gone through some of the areas of biggest need. We all know that we were wanting as far as wide receivers go, and we definitely needed help. And, of course, we lost our number 2 receiver last year, Noah Brown, going to the Texans. We, of course, also lost Dalton Schultz. And I don't know if the Cowboys are looking at this and saying that Jake Ferguson and Peyton Hendershot are a better duo for tight end, or if we're looking in the draft for somebody like Donnell Washington, and getting an impact one. I, for one, like a guy like that because he can block and he's a big target, and that's what you want to have in the West Coast offense. Getting Stephon Gilmore, now you've got 2 really good corners, you've got great safeties, and you say that area is in great shape right now and not a need for the draft. If the Cowboys can bring Hankins back on the defensive line, your defensive line, you can always look to upgrade it. I'm still wanting Calais Campbell. And I think that that's a veteran presence that you can have, a guy who'd be motivated to say, I'm all in because the end is near. I'm trying to get that Super Bowl. And I think you could probably get him for a reasonable price at this point in his career. If you become that team that guys look at and say, that's my best chance at getting a Super Bowl this year. I know, go ahead, Eagle fans, joke about it. Go ahead, pundits out there, joke about it. But you can't deny that the Cowboys, after what they did deconstructing their team, was still a really good team. And now you see the Cowboys trying to take some of those pieces and fill them in where they were lacking. You've got to look and say that this team is actually headed in the right direction. And for the Eagles, as good as they were last year with that fraud schedule, you have to look at it and say they've lost a lot of their pieces that they've had as well. And there's always that Super Bowl hangover. Now, I'm scared of the 49ers. I think the 49ers quietly have had a great offseason, getting Hargrave. The rich get richer. But we'll see if the Cowboys actually do something. I am amazed, I am shocked, and I am glad that they are, for once, trying to do some good things. I want to listen to Get Up this morning, talking about the Brandon Cooks and the praise of this move. It's not often that we get praise from ESPN, so I want to enjoy it.
Lamb. Listen, Cook was the number 1 for the Texans. Will be at number 2, number 3 for the Cowboys. Cook will play this season at 30 years old. He topped 1,000 yards in 6 of the last 8 years. And since Cooks entered the league in 2014, the only player with more catches on 30-yard throws is Tyreek Hill. And as a team last year, the Cowboys had just 4 30-yard receptions, which ranked in the bottom 5 of the NFL. All right, back in with my guys.
Wow.
So, listen, when I saw this, I was like, finally, Cowboys get some speed here in that wide receiver position. What do you think, Brandon Cooks, what does this do for the Dallas Cowboys?
Look, it was right there on the graphic, right? Like the 30-yard or more throws, like that, the Cowboys didn't have explosive playmakers at that position last year. They thought Michael Gallup would come back, I think, a little better, a little quicker than he did from his injury. Maybe that'll happen this year, and they'll be even deeper. But Cooks is a specific kind of player that they need. They went into this offseason looking for more explosive playmakers on offense, and he fits that mold. It was not, as we've discussed several times, a great free agent class at wide receiver, so you see teams looking around for other options. This was a player the Cowboys had their eye on for those reasons, but because they only had 4 of those kinds of catches last year, and he himself had 4. So, number 1, number 2, he fills a specific role for them that they felt like they didn't have.
So when you look at it, D. Wood, is this a guy you put on the inside? Is this a guy you put on the outside? Because when I think about that 49ers game, it seemed like C.D. Lamb was the only guy catching footballs.
Yeah, I mean, Brandon Cooks is a guy that's more on the outside, outside the numbers, is more that vertical threat type of guy. The speed aspect of the wide receiver, position, I think that, as Dan alluded to, probably was missing. Also, make amends to that Amari Cooper trade. That you could see the impact of what Amari Cooper had on that Dallas Cowboys offense. But listen, me, man. I'm gonna always go back to the bread and butter, and for the bread and butter for the Cowboys, it's the big guys up front. I like the trade, but the Dallas Cowboys, if they really want to take it to the next step,
Offensive line.
They got to be better up front, especially their pass pro. I mean, they were one of the worst pass protecting teams in the National Football League last year, and I've always tied the Dallas Cowboys' identity, particularly on offense, up to their offensive line. So they need to get that fortified.
Dano, what do you think? What does Brandon Cook make the Cowboys, you think?
It's a huge addition. This is a great offseason for the Cowboys. They've had the best offseason in the NFC East, and it automatically makes me think what's coming in the draft. You don't make this trade to get this piece to just add a solid player. You're making this trade for a late-round pick to add Brandon Cooks to think, all right, we got to do something to draft and make a splash, make a move, throw a huge swing. They got 3 picks in the top 30, and I looked at Bijan Robinson out of Texas. And this has been said by other people over the past couple weeks, but we're talking about a guy that basically is untackleable. Couldn't get tackled in college football. And I know everyone loves Tony Pollard. I do too. I think Pollard's
down every down back.
He's never had more than 193 carries. I would remind everybody at home, Mike McCarthy fired Kellen Moore, and one of the first things he said was, I want to run the football. So we're talking about running the football organizationally with a guy that's never had more than 193 carries, coming off a broken leg. If you took Bijan Robinson, found a way to get him, they got the 26th pick, but 3 in the top 90, put him into this offense. Now we're talking about Cooks, C.D. Lamb, Michael Gallup, and Bijan Robinson. We've completely, if you're Dallas, closed the gap on the Philadelphia Eagles. As much as I love Philly, and that's what, in the addition of Stephon Gilmore, makes me think Dallas is ready to go. We got to jump. We got to go swing to chase down some form of an NFC Championship run.
Listen, what you're saying sounds great to me, but I know there are a lot of people who think Bijan Robinson is first-round guy, probably will go in the first 15 type picks. Buffalo is a team that
Gotta
certainly
go get
needs a
him.
running back.
No,
Take
I'm
Bates,
not moving
we
up
get
for
another
him.
guy out of Auburn who is in those third, fourth round that the Cowboys could get. It brings up the question, what's left to do for the Dallas Cowboys? You heard Dan just say they probably had the best offseason in the NFC East. What's left for them to do, you think?
I think running back is certainly an area of need with Ezekiel Elliott released and Pollard coming off injury. They still need a tight end to replace Dalton Schultz, who, by the way, hasn't signed anywhere else yet. And the offensive line. They need to make sure that does not crumble. They have to make sure and continue to fit, even if they have their 5 starters. They need to make sure and support that, because you don't get through the season with all 5 starters healthy, and they need to be thinking long term at that spot.
I mean, listen, they got a couple guys. I mean, think about the guys they had last year, Jason Peters and Tyron Smith. Those guys are, long in the tooth up front of the offensive line. Again, I'll say Dallas is at their best when their offensive line is at their best. So continue to invest.
Agree with that 100%.
Okay, so now Brandon Cooks is with the Cowboys. That appears that they're out of the Odell Beckham Jr. sweepstakes.
Yes.
He remains.
Although, it wouldn't surprise me for the Cowboys if they did do something like saying, you know what, we're going to make sure we have the best wide receiver core in there. It wouldn't surprise me if the Cowboys did do something with Odell. In fact, it wouldn't surprise me if the Cowboys did something that just literally blows everybody's mind away, going in a direction that you're just not believing. And I feel like the Cowboys getting what they did with 2 fifth-round picks that are still affordable, that they didn't knock up a whole lot of cash, that they may all of a sudden feel emboldened to do something really big, to make a big splash. But we'll see what happens with the Cowboys. I think we can throw away all of the old misconceptions of what Catboy and Jerry Jones are going to do. This is a new-founded Dallas Cowboys. I'm Mark Holmes. Well, it's time for me to go get to work. Love you guys, and I'll see you soon.